Okay, we are back. Road to Super Sunday with my good friend Jeff Volpe, president of ViewSonic out on the West Coast, a global technology company. We can get into that another time, Jeff, of course. And my very dear friend and respected author, everything big in the media. This guy is that. Michael Holley, 6-time New York Times bestseller, kicking butt at all levels. Brother, thanks for joining us. I could go on and on. Let's jump into something. Let's
Let's
jump
do
into
it.
this 5 minute cast, brother.
Yeah.
First, I have a question for you. Okay, you have been around some amazing organizations. You've sat in organizations. You've had front seats in organizations that a lot of people don't get a chance to. One, very specifically, Patriot wise, you've been a part of Patriot paradigm from afar, meaning you know those people really well. You know about unbelievable leadership, having been around. You've written books about great leaders. Most recently, we talk about Bill Cowher. Talk to me about the Patriot paradigm. I could go big picture here. Was it all it cracked up to be, brother?
Yeah. And thanks for saying those things, Thomas. Yeah, it was all it was cracked up to be and even more, man. Just to give you guys context, when I started working on my first book with the Patriots and they allowed me to, well, Bill Belichick allowed me to have access to the meeting rooms, to hang out with the scouts. That's where I got a chance to sit next to Thomas and look at his notes, his copious notes. I got to watch games from the coach's box. I mean, it was really an incredible experience. So when I started that, I was coming from the Boston Globe, and I had taken a book leave from the Globe just to really convince the Patriots that anything I saw would not wind up in the pages of the Boston Globe. So it kind of I had to do that just to get the green light to do it. And now think about it. Boston Globe, one of the great newspapers in the United States, but it probably was 2 weeks in, 3 weeks in, where I knew, hey, if I ever go back to newspapers, I'll be a different kind of reporter because they've taken it to another level. Their their thorough their thorough examination of everything, their way they talk about hitting every detail, and more than that. So the work ethic was not a surprise to me. The biggest surprise was the accountability that was throughout the organization. And I'll tell you one example of it. I remember Bill Belichick telling the players after a game, they had won a game in Detroit, and he told the players before the game, hey, we win this game, we're going to have an extra day. We're going to have the day off. So they went out, they beat Detroit. Players are excited on the way home, on the plane, they're having a great time. They're thinking about the day off. And one of Bill's assistants reminded him that there was an event that the players needed to go to. And he had forgotten about it. And they were right outside Gillette Stadium. He stopped. He said, okay, stop the bus. There were 3 buses. On the first bus, there were some players, not many, say, guys, I fucked that up. It's my fault. You had the day off. You had the day off. I forgot about this event. I'll make it up to you. I'm sorry. It's my fault. Gets off the bus, goes to the second bus, does the same thing. Third bus does the same thing. Players weren't happy about it, but think about the message that sends, especially now. So many people, you guys know it, so many people are looking to cover their own tails, looking to pass the buck, not take responsibility for things that go wrong. But I think that's one of the things that Bill Belichick stands out to me. He always, if it's his fault, he'll take the hit on it. And sometimes when it's not his fault, he'll take the hit on it.
First, I'm honored to have the opportunity to ask you a question, and I'll tell you the question about the Patriots that is interesting for me. Might It's football related, but it's more about the leadership and more about the dynamic of this dynasty with two incredibly powerfully minded, strong people, and that's Bill Belichick and of course Tom Brady. Now, of course, we know Tom just retired, but the deal for me was you got two strong guys, persevered over so many years of playing together. How did those two people coexist in such a manner with such strength of character to make such an incredible dynasty that, in part, my buddy Thomas helped build?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question, and that's it. I mean we've never seen anything like it before in the NFL. You know, nobody's ever stayed that long. The same coach, same quarterback. You think about you know some of the great quarterback head coaching tandems in NFL history, and if you got a decade out of them, or you know a dozen years out of them, you know that's saying a lot. I mean, you think about you know going way back, you know Bart Starr and Vince Lombardi. You know, by the late '60s, Lombardi was gone. He moved on to Washington. So you know that was just over a decade. Think about Chuck Noll and Terry Bradshaw. That was about you know a dozen years, you know 13 years, something like that, and then it was over. But for Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, the last 20 years, you got to have something special. And I think it was a couple of things. One, they're, and this sounds crazy, but they're very similar. Now, one guy looks like $1 million, and the other guy looks like he got his clothes off the discount rack, right? you know, and you know, superficially, you wouldn't see the things that they have in common. But I think number one, they're both really into football, not just passionate about it, but I'd say even scholarly about football. What Bill Belichick brings to it, the cerebral nature that he brings to the sport, Tom Brady does the same thing. They both are just almost maniacal about every single detail and about preparing and about things that could happen and things that have happened in the past. That's one. Two, elite memory, elite recall, both of them. You know, Belichick, you can talk to him about something in 2021 or 22, and he can make a connection to something that he saw when he was a young coach in the league in 1976. Tom Brady, the same thing, remembers, hey, I saw this my third year at Michigan, or this coverage is similar to something I saw before. But I think what really stands out to uh, their peers, whether it's Bill's peers on his, well, kind of peers, his assistants on his staff, and the Brady's teammates, is how they respect boundaries. So Brady could easily, I've always told people this, Tom Brady's the only person in New England, only athlete in New England who could come out and say, they're not paying me enough. I'm a millionaire. I deserve to have more millions. I deserve to be the highest paid player in football. And nobody would have no fan would have a problem with it. See, fans usually don't want to hear about you saying you need more than millions. Okay, that's a telltale. I mean, that's an easy way to get fans to alienate your fans. But Tom Brady could have done that. He could have held out. He could have said, I want to be the highest paid quarterback in football every year, and I'm not coming to training camp unless you do that for me. He never did it. So, and he could have easily, Thomas, as a general manager, he could have easily taken the back stairs and kind of campaigned to get his way. He could have cozied up to the front office to get what he wanted on the roster, and he didn't do
Did
it.
not do that.
And on the
He took
flip
care of
side,
business.
Belichick kind of
If
let
Michael's still
Brady
there, I'm
lead.
sorry, Michael.
He didn't, and so he treated Brady, and at times this became a problem for Brady, to be honest with you. But he treated Brady like he treated everybody else in the roster. So if I'm going to call out the center or the left guard or the strong safety in a meeting, and I'm going to MF that guy, I'm going to do the same thing with Tom Brady, and it worked. I'd say year 3, year 5, year 8, year 10. At some point, Brady said, "Well, wait a minute. I've won a lot of Super Bowls. You're talking about me like I've never accomplished anything in this league. What's going on with that?" And I think it became a problem later. But for a long time, they were able to, stay in their lanes, respect each other's boundaries. Tom Brady, you can find this. If you find it, I'll give you Thomas's Tom Ford jacket. If you find a clip of Tom Brady calling Bill Belichick Bill, I'll give you big money. He never
Awesome.
does. He always calls him Coach Belichick.
Unbelievable.
Always. Never Bill, not him, not Coach. It's always Coach Belichick. Yeah. So
Love it.
they really, and I think it gave. I think it gave the last thing I'll say. I think it gave Tom great equity in the locker room because those players know. And Brady could abuse his power, for lack of a better phrase, to get what he wanted. But he really was really was mindful of connecting with his teammates. You know, some of these guys, especially when he got into his late 30s, early 40s, some of these guys grew up watching him. He was a poster on somebody's bedroom wall. He was on a pedestal. They watched him in Super Bowls, but he kind of wanted to take away that obstacle, take away that reverie that some people had for him, and just really bring it down to an earthbound level so he could connect with these guys as teammates.
Michael, I mean, fantastic insight as always. I mean, I could sit here and talk to you forever on it. Um, Actually, we'll be talking real soon. And you and I, of course, we're talking book stuff and we have a lot of different things to talk about. But out the door, who are you taking in the Super Bowl? Put your prognosticator hat on, brother.
Well, Thomas, I think you know my answer. I'm going to go with the LA Rams for a couple of reasons. Number one reason, our guy Les Snead, the general manager, who I had the pleasure of meeting through you, working on War Room when you were with the Falcons, and that was a lot of fun, just watching you guys operate. And he has built the team in an unusual way, and it's a way you're not supposed to be able to do that. You're not supposed to be able to do that in the NFL. So I like his approach. I like his thinking on this. I hope they win, but also I think they have a overall. I just think they have a better team. You know, top to bottom, 1 through 53. My hear my studio lights are coming on now. Um, I love their coaching staff. I love the depth on their defensive line. I love their stars. I love their guys who are not stars. I just think overall they do a really good job of bringing it all together. And I was saying this to my buddy Michael Smith. I think we need to put Sean McVay in context. I mean, if he wins, think about this. McVay is in his like fifth or sixth season, and he was the youngest coach to go to a Super Bowl. They lost to the Patriots. That was in 2000, in January of 2000, February of 2019. Here we are in February of 2022. He's 36 years old. If he wins this one, he'll still be the youngest coach ever to win the Super Bowl. So I just think it's been a great start to his career, and look forward to seeing what he does later, because he's not a finished product. None of us was a finished product at 36. So I'm going with the Rams.